Hey, have we got sound yet? I've got sound on my end. Theoretically, you should be hearing me. Also, no sound? Still? Fuck. Okay, hold on. How high? Can you see? Can you hear? Try now. Yay! Okay, so I guess my interface doesn't work. My audio interface doesn't work in performance mode. Good to know. Thanks for helping me out, Keiko. I love ya. Okay, well, kicking mic stands. You know, I have literally nothing set up at this point. But wow, life's fucking crazy, right? So, 2 months ago, roughly, let's say, you know, I had gotten back into, let's call primitivistic ritual energy work. Okay? The energy work that I have been doing primarily has been Chinese martial arts, right? Or Chinese medicine. See, I don't have any kind of screen in front of me, so all right. We will figure this out, folks, I promise. Okay, I'm going to turn this screen off. Thank you for bearing with me, Keiko, etc. I'm literally working on everything right now. So I, inspired by my friend Nikki, had been gradually over time constructing what I refer to as an ancient machine, and I refer to it as a spell battery, wherein I have a jar that's full of full moon blessed water that also contains a geode that my son split open himself, a crystal geode, and an enormous quartz point on top of it, and a line of objects that either represent his and my needs and or him and me directly. Drink water. Oh, yes, there we go. And part of my ritual has been to, as I go through the process of activating the spell battery and functionally using it, whatever. Wow, that's volume. You can hear me. Okay. the last thing that I would do was I had a sheet of comic book paper that my son had drawn one page of a comic book on. And is that an okay level? Can I talk that low? Here, I'll get a little bit more heat just so I can talk a little more freely. Talk a little more freely. How about that? Is that good? Does that sound all right? And if I start yelling and fucking blasting things out, y'all let me know. So, this spell battery, its function was to, I have a saying, the rope is long, it connects all our hearts. And the rope between myself and my son, which, just for reference, if you didn't know, I spent 6+ months of nearly no contact with my son, and I had 2 weekends with him in that time span, and I had a handful of phone calls, 98% of which were monitored. And so if he or I behaved in a way that was not deemed acceptable, the call was terminated. And I didn't know where he was living, and yes, to answer your question, educated myself to the point of I'm basically a family law lawyer at this point, and so things are moving forward on that, on the legal front. And I'd had a couple of communications with her and her attorney and kind of let them know what was going on. And then I got okay, so backing up. Thank you. Thanks again, Keiko. Thanks for helping me set my levels. I hope the noisy ass old AC unit out in the garage ain't too loud in the background. Jumping back 24 hours. Many of you know my son had a cat named Mochi, who was, and I am a cat whisperer, okay? I've ascended levels beyond cat whisperer to become a cat botherer. So, I know my cats. I've had thousands of cats, literally. Or at least gotta be approaching 1,000. Anyway, Mochi was an incredibly ancient cat spirit who had done his 9 times, 1,000 times around. He had lived what I will refer to as basically an infinite number of cat lives. He had already lived the life of every cat. And his job was done. He could have frolicked in the endless meadows forever and never had to come back. But also, once a consciousness has cycled through fractal reality an infinite number of times, that means that consciousness, whether they exist for a short linear time period in this fractal reality as a living consciousness, now their spirit has a tether to that fractal timeline, wherein a cat, basically Mochi, was omniscient and omnipresent. He, while his consciousness got the privilege of never having to come back across the Rainbow Bridge, and he had the ability to reach out with his feelings, through the web of ropes that he had tied to different realities and timelines and people, and could exist, and or at least check in, be aware of. And if I start crying, thank you for bearing with me. From the Endless Meadow, Mochi became aware of a boy, the birth of a child. That was so special and so needed his wisdom and guidance to make it through the first 10 years of his life. And so, right as my life, that version of my life, that phase of my life, that's my new terminology, that phase of my life. Before that phase of my life completely cratered, and I had to pick up the pieces and figure out how to keep living. Right at the end of my familiar in life and my spirit guide in death, Meshu Rutherford Bingles. You may hear me just refer to him as Bing. He was not. His time as my guide in the physical plane was done. But for a short period of time, just a few months, at the very end of his life, he got one more baby. And one of the things about Bingles is that he was Mama Bingles, and he loved babies. And even as a not feeling good, in, twilight years, elderly, chronically ill cat, he adopted Mochi and licked his head. And when your head has been licked and you've been blessed with Bingle spit, you're an honorary Bingle. And Mochi came into our life and literally 2 weeks before, well, context. We had lost our home due to a series of events that some of them were out of our control, some of them were in my control, and some of them were in other people's control. But that led to me and my family losing our terrestrial home. becoming unhoused. And for 2 months after that, we lived with my ex-wife's aunt, who has a small condo in a very, uptight old people condo community in North Austin. And if you know what any of those words mean, you know what I'm talking about. And me and my ex-wife and our child, who was 4 at the time, we attempted to live there for a short period, a very short period, because, I don't need to talk bad about anybody, but it wasn't a good fit, let's say. It wasn't a good fit. And 2 weeks before I should say, in the 2 weeks between us realizing that staying with her aunt wouldn't work, and we made the decision to move our life onto the boom bus, which we had acquired 2 years before, which was a 1985 Chevy Bluebird short bus. So, 200 square feet, and it was gutted, and to say that it was bare bones converted is not even quite accurate. Man, this lighting's terrible. I'm gonna go turn this light off. Give me just a sec. Breaking shit. Alright, that's a little better. Now I can at least adjust it. Where's my adjuster? Yeah, that's better. Cool, we'll stick it there. Technology. So, in the 2 weeks between us deciding to move onto the boom bus, which, while it had very basic 110 power and propane, it was plumbed for propane, so it had a functional range but not oven, and it had a sink but no tanks of any sort. And so, not only, when you convert a bus, you should deskin it on the inside and re-insulate it and take a bunch of the windows out. And there's a lot of work to be done to actually make a school bus a livable RV and not just a party bus. And it was a party bus, and we were living on it. And it was very challenging, and I had to learn a lot in those years. But, anyway, see, y'all, I get sidetracked. Need my coffee. One day, when Nanny, it's boss's mom's aunt, Nanny and Boss, my son, and Nacho, our Chihuahua, and Mayshu, Rutherford Bengals, went on their daily walk in the gated community, and they walked down the hill and turn around and walk back. And as they turned to go up the stairs, to the condo. Meishu, oh, I put down my monitor. Oh, thank you. See, I need a clip here. I need to put a clip here for this. Things, y'all. Live streaming is a thing. It's literally a thing. Alright. That's stupid. I have my phone on behind the camera so I can see myself. And I can see the chat. So as everybody else went into the condo, Meishu took a left. He went up the hill. He went into the woods behind the condos, which were his stomping grounds for various times of his life. And he went and he laid down on his favorite warm rock, and he fell asleep, and he crossed the Rainbow Bridge. And we had been asking ourselves, how in the hell are we going to fit this much cat into 200 square feet and then take them and live them out in the middle of the woods? Because you can't live in an RV park in a crusty, rusty bus conversion. You gotta find places. And so that means typically living very far out in the boonies and in some crazy hippie's yard. And I love the crazy hippies who housed me over, or I should say, provided land for us to live on. But anyway, getting sidetracked again. Mochi was a cat who, from the moment we got him as a kitten, 8 weeks old, he had all of the attributes and traits that you would typically associate with old cats. Like they know what you're saying. You've developed a language. They're chill about everything. They are not uptight as old cats, right? Mochi was an ancient cat from 8 weeks old, and he knew every word we were saying. He was the personification of, he was like a Buddha, basically, in cat form. That he was never unhappy, and he was never not. He never gave less than 100% of his love unconditionally to every creature he ever met. And Mochi purred 100% of the time. He never stopped purring. We used to think that he would snore. No, actually, he was purring in his sleep. And he would, his best friend was a dog, a German Shepherd, or a GSD mix. And his favorite daily activity was go out to the rock pile and catch a vole, which, if you don't know what a vole is, it's kind of like a North American feral hamster. They're fat and kind of pointless. No, they're not pointless. I mean, they're food. That's what they're meant to be. They can't really dig or run fast, so they hide in rock piles, right? And we had a big rock pile, and it had a vole colony in it. So every day, Mochi would go and catch a vole and bring it over to the entrance of the bus, and so that I could hear it. I could hear the this little critter. And he would then proceed to put it down, let it get away, and then go catch it and bring it back, set it down, let it get away, chase it down, catch it, bring it back. All day. And he would literally do this until the vole perished from stress, overexertion, right? And so every day there would be a little tiny, well, their palm of the hand size, little, small, little fuzzy rodent, gray, laying there, dead, without a single mark on him. Not a scratch, no blood, no punctures, no. Mochi loved those voles. He didn't want to eat them. He just wanted to play and share an experience. And Mochi, after the divorce, when my ex-wife and son were still living there at the condo with the wilderness behind it, the mail carrier, left the gate open. Hey, look, Blanche Griggs created a new message. How funny. Oops, I said her name on stream. I'll have to maybe blank that out. She has a gig, and so she is offering me the opportunity to provide her childcare. Yeah, it's like that. So Mochi got out. Mochi was never seen again. And it took my son a while to... This is legal, by the way. This is CBD, CBG, and CBD blend I make myself. It took my son a while to come to terms, to really come to grips with the fact that Mochi's gone. And when he finally did, it was really cool. I mean, as cool as it could be. That the way that he sees it is Mochi had done his job on this earth, which I agreed with. This is I say it's funny because this is already a conclusion that I had come to. That Mochi had done his job here, and now it was time for him to go back, and the way Boss put it was to protect the universe. And I think that's pretty amazing, because as a cat spirit who has lived in every fractal branch of infinite reality, lived an infinite number of 9 lives, train of thought. Don't you love that? Like, don't you just love that? Your train of thought just derails completely. So, anyway, long story short, that's a joke with me and my mom now, because no story is short with me. Long story long. My blessed, beautiful child was blessed with his familiar, the first cat that he got to love, and it loved him like more than any other person. His cat, right, was an ultimate superpowered, infinitely wise cat spirit. It's true. It's true. It's true. Fractal storytelling, right? Infinite fractal storytelling. Thank you for grokking me. I personally believe that. See, here's the train. It came back on the rails. Going off the rails on a crazy train. I fully believe that, Mochi was probably eaten by a coyote, and it was because Mochi had no fear of any animal, man or beast. And when that coyote ran up on him and snatched him up in his jaws, that Mochi was purring and looking him in the eyes and saying, "I love you. Thank you for playing with me." Sorry. Not sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. On my wall, now we're jumping back to, jumping forward to 24 hours before things changed. The last step of my spell battery ritual was to tear off a little piece of paper from that comic book page that my son had drawn, and had his drawing on it, and with my magical carpenter's pencil would write on it his full name 3 times, so 3 times 3, and then his birth date, which is a palindrome, and 3 numbers, 3 times 3, and then I would write "Come home, son" 3 times, 3 times 3. Magic users know 3rd time's the charm. So, but what was different is usually, and I would use a specific piece of rock, a piece of broken flat slate, to tear off the piece in exactly the same or roughly the same size and shape each time, and I had to write very small, sharpening the point of my carpenter's pencil by rubbing it on a rock. And usually writing as small as I could, in writing so small that really it looked more like runes than English, right? Only I could read it. And typically it would fill all of the free space on the piece of paper. And this piece of paper had a large amount of drawing on it, more than usual. But somehow when I was done, after I had written, or when I was almost done, and I had written "Come home, son" 2 of the 3 times, there was a very, very large space at the bottom of the peace. And I was, I really could feel that meant something. And so I wrote, "Come home, son." Very big, all caps, filled the whole space. But I'm still getting ahead of myself. Jump back 24 hours. God damn it, thank you for bearing with me. I had reached out to Mochi. I had a little shrine to Mochi on my wall. And it had 3 little Polaroids of him and his business tie collar that still was covered in his fur and just his essence. And I had many times in the process of trying to survive being completely disconnected from really my only reason for surviving, for the one thing that really stops me when everything else says, "Come on, man, push that fucking button and bail out." Trying to survive being disconnected from him. And I had reached out to Mochi a lot of times. But Mochi, he came to me. He actually, like, in a vision, kind of magical sense, like, appeared to me. And he had told me to make this special, to take the magical pouch that I'd been carrying with me in my pocket and to give it to Blue Whoopie, which was Bossy's, like, comfort item, and a stuffy that I personally believe, you love a stuffy enough, like the Velveteen Rabbit, it gains some spark of life. And he told me to give my pouch to Blue Whoopie and to put his tie on Blue Whoopie. And I did that. This was a couple weeks before. Timeline, I know. Wibbly wobbly, y'all. Wibbly wobbly. I don't time good. I had made this, binding of my totem linking Mochi's spirit and the totem item containing Blue Whoopie's spirit, and wrapped it around, with items, Bossy's pacifier leash, and such. And Mochi, I had been asking Mochi to help, just bring him home, just bring us together, bring him home. And then one day, as I had made the thing, and I was pushing all this energy into this battery to shoot down the rope to find Boss in my, this timeline, and try to get him to come home. And Mochi said, "Hey, dum-dum, the rope is long and the rope is strong. You've made it very strong. You should pull on it." And so that night, I pulled on the rope. Just like I would wind a long rope dart with something very powerful on the end, I grabbed that fucking rope that connected my heart to his and went through that battery, and I just started reeling it into myself. Elbow reeling, manacle elbow reeling, boom, pull, and then I would throw it over my head like I was reeling in hundreds of feet of rope. And then I went to bed, did my thing, went to bed. Next day, got up, before I even went through the whole process, before I was even awake, I cried as hard as I could, and I grabbed that rope, and I pulled it as hard as I could. I just, with every fiber of my being, I pulled on that rope and wound it up and stacked it around my neck. And then I went through the whole rest of the process, And right as I was holding that piece of paper that had "Come home, son" written on it as big as possible, I knew something was different. I could feel it. It was just vibrating in the air. And as I held the piece of paper over the candle, my phone rang. It was my ex-wife, letting me know that evening my son would be at my family homestead, what I refer to as the Manville house, with Nina and Pop Pop, my mom and her partner, Bossy's grandparents, and that we would get to spend an indeterminate amount of time together. All I had to do was go to Manville. And I fell on the floor, and I rolled around, and I laughed, and I screamed, and I cried, and I kicked him in my arms and legs and thrashed. And then I burnt that piece of paper. Thanked Mochi. Patted him. Told him, "Thanks, Mopes. You did it. You can go back. You don't have to stay here anymore." And he told me, "You dumbass. I'm everywhere. I don't have to leave. I'm always here. I've always been here. You just gotta notice." And so, yeah, he was the best cat. And, you know, as they say, my cat is the fluffiest and best cat. Also, your cat is the fluffiest and best cat. It's science. Stream health looks good. So, myself and my partner, Casey, I will just say my partner. Sorry, again, I'll try to keep names out of these things. I will try to go back and fudge that out, but whatever. Myself and my partner, as fast as we could, packed up, drove the 4 hours from San Antonio to Manville. And when we got here, I had been here a couple of times in the last few years, but just very briefly. I should say, people lived here at various points over the 20 years that I was gone. But they were primarily friends of the family who had fallen on some sort of hard times wherein they needed a place to live for some duration. And so there were families living in our house at various points over the years, and they treated the house well. Everybody treated it with loving care and respect. We also had a groundskeeper, what I will call a groundskeeper. Basically, again, a long, well-known friend of the family who lives. If the groundskeeper job is, no pay, but you can live in the barn apartment. You can have the barn shop as your own shop to utilize as you will, and you don't have to pay rent, and you gotta upkeep the place around here because we got 4 acres and a lot of stuff. But previous caretaker, as much as I love him, didn't really. He kind of did the bare minimum, right? And so, over 20 years, a place, if not lived in and loved and maintained, it will fall apart. And so there's a lot here that needed doing. My son was here, got to spend for the first time in over 6 months and in more than half a year, really got to spend good, totally with my son time. My mom, he got to go on his tractor ride with Pop on my dad, his grandpa Bill, rest in peace, his favorite old John Deere, like a 1912 John Deere tractor. And have a lot of the experiences that he's been missing out on. And we also got to connect on a lot of the things that had been misconstrued and misportrayed by my counterpart in this situation. And the stress of all of this, and the also, recognition of the absolute necessity of my being here. My partner kind of had a meltdown, and we had to go back to San Antonio immediately. As soon as we got back to San Antonio, or I should say within 12 hours of us getting back to San Antonio, there was a big blow up that escalated instead of the usual de-escalation. We broke up. I moved out. Got as much of my shit as I could and got the fuck out. Over the course of the next month, we attempted to reconcile multiple times, but things continued just devolving quickly, unto the point where the thing that was already kind of decided when I got here is now decided that I'm here, that I live in Manville now. I've moved and I live here, and I'm gonna live here for the rest of my life, for the rest of my natural life, however many years I'm lucky to get. We were also, my mom primarily was also able to get my son caught up in school. We found out, that there had been a lack, let's say some lax parenting processes employed by my counterpart. RE, my son's education, and he was quite a bit behind his class, but my mom was able to get him on track. He's now caught back up. He is now attending Zoom classes again, and on a good sleep schedule. Another thing that my mom worked very hard in the month or so that we had him to get him back on a school sleeping schedule. So, happy days. Things are great. Nobody likes breakups. I hold no ill will to my ex-partner. I want nothing but the best for her and the whole family. I wish that and hope that maybe someday in the future we'll be able to interact on a even keel in a sane plane. But we're not there right now, so that's fine. It's all good. Such is life, right? And the thing about life and where our life was going, and really what we, in the interim of breaking up several times and getting back together several times, really came to realize was that, we're both very damaged people. We started the relationship in a very whirlwind fashion, in a very whirlwind time in my life, and that I kind of her need or her desire to provide care for me, it got in the way of her caring for herself that she had been working on, and it was not good for her, not good for me. We both slipped into toxic codependent patterns, etc., etc. Wasn't good. We needed to spend time apart, figure out our own shit, work on our own shit, and our own shit was different than the shit that we as a couple could do, or yeah, I mean, really had the opportunity to do. So, as I said, clean break, all the love. However, the place where I'm at now in my life is such that I got to put me first. And I realized that that's one of my really unhealthy psychological habits that I've done my whole adult life, or my whole life, is I put other people before myself. And that's a bad way to do things. Especially when, you're dealing with multiple severe chronic illnesses, as well as lifelong psychological trauma and abuse, and etc. So, I would like to introduce the new me, the whole me, the uncensored, uncompromised, unadjusted for anyone or anything but my needs, number one, beliefs, etc., with my son's hand in mine, an extension of myself, and my reason to keep trying as hard as it is for me to live, like practically. And really the first time in my adult life to just be myself, and to just live as myself, and to not adjust myself for anyone or anything, be it relationship, job, whatever. It's me and my health, and my kid, my loved ones, my homestead, and ranked in a sliding and changeable, I don't know, order of importance. And thank you, Keiko. I do too. I look forward to meeting the new me. It's cool. I get to do it every day, and a lot of it has to do with realizing and expressing my boundaries to other people, even though those boundaries are uncomfortable and not what those people wanted. Learning to say no. I've been a yeser. I've been an obliger my whole life, and I'm finally done with that. And I'm also done with like this idea of needing to be in a romantic or sexual relationship and entanglement with anyone at all. Like, I have my child. He's my everything. He's the best kid ever put on the planet, and your kid's the best kid. Also, remember, it's science. I don't need another spouse. I don't need, I have my homestead here that I grew up in and on. It's a place that we bought basically as a half finished home being foreclosed on in 1989. And my C4 quadriplegic father, my dad, who I call my dad, which is different from my pops, he couldn't do all the things that he wanted to do and was good at, and was and now that he had money from being wrongfully paralyzed by the Cessna Corporation, he was able to do the things that he was never able to do for monetary reasons. And so he visualized this whole place, and we, our chosen family, built it and experienced it and did it. And it's crazy to think that it was only 6 years, but it was 6 years of my life wherein a man who had no arms and legs to use, no functional body, said, "Hey kid, I'm going to adopt you, and you really need a dad, so I'm going to be your dad. I'm going to try to teach you all the dad things that you need to know." And it's great. It's hilarious because so many of the things that I did, he made me do, that I was cussing him the whole time. They're lifelong things that I am thankful that he had me go through, because it built the foundation to be the person that I needed to be. And the spiral is very strange, echoes forward and backward in time, and repeating patterns that make no sense, because my adopted father, my adopted dad, not my biological pops, my adopted dad, learning not only to be, because we didn't have any in-home care providers or anything like that. My mom was his sole care provider, so being his family and being his care providers taught me a lot about just being disabled and living with disability, and making the most of your life not in spite of, but in harmony with disability. And again, these are skills that I needed, that I had no idea that I was going to need to know as a disabled adult. But now here I am, finally giving up, air quotes, on trying to have a career and prove my ability to support myself, and and all of that bullshit, which I failed miserably at, you know? I had so many careers and I did so many exceptional things, and 0% of them ever paid me enough money to live. It's okay though. I'm now here, have 4 acres that need me and my love to be a living, sustainable, thriving organism. You know, the previous groundskeeper who kind of just did the minimum, right? And then he moved along, and all the love to him. We got a new groundskeeper who is, again, a lifelong family friend and was just a perfect fit. Moved right in, and in the few months that he's been here, has been treating this place as if he saw through the eyes of my dad, and it's really incredible. And I smile upon Bilphus. If you guys, I know some of the viewers right now, you guys know who Bilphus are. Y'all know who Bilphus is, and it's a great fit, y'all. He's and it's hilarious because, you know, this place was designed by Bill Schultz, who died on my 16th birthday, and now we have Bilphus here. Taking care of this place, not just out of a sense of duty or like expectation. He does it lovingly and thoughtfully and with presence and with magic, like literal magic, like the Great Spiral is very real and very weird. And holy shit, it's 5 o'clock. God damn. How in the hell long have I been streaming? That's crazy. Hour and a half? Holy fuck. It's been an hour and a half already. Okay, well, yeah, I'm getting close to wrap it up time. Anyway, but I just wanted to say that here in the garage that my father, my dad, designed and we built and created and we fabricated so many things in. I shot my first machine gun in this garage. There's a museum quality 1968 and a half Ram Air 2 GTO sitting there. You know, there's a drum kit that is put together from the hold on, I'm gonna go over there and watch the motion lights. Hey, isn't that fun? But we got the drum kit that it's Frankenstein together from my kit, my cousin's kit, some other people's kit who just brought shit over, left it here. John Eric bought a kick drum. I'm gonna hybridize and integrate my whole E-drum kit into it as well. I'm gonna puzzle mat in the floor. We're gonna have acoustical baffling options built out of my grappling mats. We're also gonna have a training space for movement, martial arts. You know, we're gonna have a fully professional recording studio and music space where we can make any kind of music. We can record, we can produce, we can DJ. You know, I have my DJ rig. It doesn't like that. Stop with the flashing. You can do it. I believe in you. Come on, stop it. There we go. Have my old DJ rig, have my modern DJ rig. I know it's fucking we're really ghettoing it right now. So, but anyway, a fully power conditioned, ground isolated, all balanced cable runs, 32 channel, but multi-busable mixer, multi-track, high resolution, AD and DA, patch bay, tons of both analog and digital and hybridized gear, all infinitely configurable and patchable. I've installed already a 350 watt surround sound system for playback, and it's just gonna keep getting better. And so the last thing I'm gonna say is that I interned to be an audio engineer at the legendary Congress House Studios in Austin, Texas, and it is the furthest you can get on Congress Avenue away from the Capitol. And it's in a little wood house, and Ani DeFranco's first gold record hung on the bathroom wall. And Mr. Mark Hallman taught me everything that I needed to know to be a professional audio and recording engineer, mix, master, produce, everything. And ever since 20 years ago, I walked away from this place, walking in a straight line, asking questions, and taking all comers. Never bested in challenge of word or fist. And after 20 years walking in a straight line, I found myself back where I started, having gained all of the knowledge and skills that I needed to live here and to do this here. And the only unanswered questions that I had, the answers my dad had left here for me before he died. And I've called this place, ever since I stopped calling it home, called it the Manville House. And so I called up Mr. Mark Hallman, proprietor of the legendary Congress House Recording Studios, and I asked his blessing in honor of both him and my late father, to, in the garage that I grew up in, build, create, found, establish, maintain, and operate the legendary Manville House Recording Studios. And I received the blessing. So that's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm spending a lot of my time doing. There's stuff on so many levels here that need love and care and attention. There's literally everything that you need, that I need here. All I have to do literally is say, I need this thing, and reach out my arm, and there it is. The Manville House provides. It is a place of great magic. And I did my first magic here I wrote my first song right there. And I just can't wait to finally live with no pressure, with no expectations, and in service of none but myself and my child, and my art. So I got an album brewing. I need to start. Have the kind of skeletons of a bunch of the tracks, and as this studio environment gets more robust and well installed, should probably stop kicking the mic. It's not best for your audio quality stream. Pointer, pro tip. Y'all will start hearing and seeing more and more and more content from me again. I know I've kind of been off the grid. A lot of that time was just spent pure dad and son envelopment, and also kind of the death throes of a relationship. But every day, finally, from the moment that I was about to burn that piece of paper and the phone rang, the spiral has the chaos, the order in chaos has revealed itself. And each step that I take in the direction that I now, using heart, mind, and gut unified as my compass to move in that direction, every single thing occurs rhythmically perfect to a weird and silly degree. I've taught multiple people what it means to say how spirally, and it's really hilarious how it's becoming more and more and more a part of the lexicon of people around me. So with that, my friends, I will say thank you for hanging in there. I noticed I didn't lose a single YouTube follower. That's amazing. I noticed that. And thank you. I know that I never followed through on the subscriber drive rap track promise. We'll see. I'm able to make a lot more music. I have a lot more free time now. All of a sudden, they don't have to maintenance a relationship, and it's great. So I just want to say to all y'all, I love you so much. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for bearing with me. Love, play, fight the power. Be yourself as hard as you can. All cats are beautiful, but you can't hug every cat. The Great Spiral is real. Reality is a weird place to live. Everything is Kung Fu, and Kung Fu is magic. I love you. I'm Mr. No Bones, signing off. Have a kick-ass day. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, spread the links around. MrNoBones.com, MrNoBonesLive.com. Remember, I'm disabled and I have no income. I work for free. This is my job. I make it really easy if you feel like you would like to donate. I live solely on and due to the kindness of others. So if you go to MrNoBones.com, Just click on that little donate link, and there's plenty of different options there. I'm going to recommend the Patreon, because then you can just fire and forget. You don't have to click pay to give Tommy $1 every time, live on the stream. Although, theoretically, that shit's supposed to pop up on the screen if you do that. So, Mr. No Bones Live is the best place to do that. During my stream, Mr. No Bones Live is where all my streams will be dynamically displayed live when they happen. Or, follow the YouTube link. I'm going to start multi-streaming real soon, so my Twitch channel will be up parallel. Might even start shooting out to Facebook too. We'll see how that goes. I don't fucking know. Alright, that's it. Have a kick-ass day. I love you.